we talked about this last week a little bit, but it's kind of this, like I said, you have to make that switch, right? You have to flip that switch because at a certain point, your low prices and the constant discounting is actually the thing that is holding you back from reaching that higher level of clientele. And it's something that I would call like the price filter. And can you guys think of anything in your lives where you actually shop and filter based on price, but in the opposite way that you would think, like you actually would rather purchase the more expensive thing than the cheapest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I can think of it too. Like whether it's, audio gear is something for me. Um, Even clothes sometimes. Like I got sick of like buying $10 t-shirts and then within a month or two, they're garbage. They're trash after you wash them a few times. And so now it's like, okay, I'd rather spend like 30 or $40 on a nice shirt and be able to wear it for at least a year, like stuff that lasts. You actually end up spending less money in the long run. And so there is like, it's the same thing in the recording industry. There's artists and bands out there who look, if your recording rate is $300 a song or your mixing rate is $200 a song, there's a certain level of clientele that is literally filtering you out based on your price, right? Like when you think of a band who's really serious, trying to make a go of it, they're touring, maybe even they're not even touring yet, but they're really taking it seriously. They're investing into their band. Even like a band who's on a label, they're making their first big release. Like they're going to filter that out because they know that, at that price point, you're not working with real seasoned professionals, right? Because they wouldn't be charging that much. And so I definitely found that in my career, there was a point where like I can't put a number on the threshold, but I'd say like if for recording and mixing, maybe once you approaching that $500, $600 per song to like record and mix a whole song, that's when it was kind of like the riffraff kind of started getting filtered out and you really didn't have as many of those really nightmare projects. And then it started kind of pulling in more of the more serious bands. And it's price is like, this works across any business, by the way. Price is like one of those things that it's the easiest thing for us to change and potentially has the most impact. Because for you guys, I mean, can you imagine if whatever you're charging now, if it was doubled, but you're putting in the same amount of work and effort and you're getting paid twice as much? But then that's also going to have the effect of attracting better artists, which is also going to have the effect of getting better results because you're working with better music and better artists. And so it becomes this nice cycle, right? So it's something that you shouldn't be afraid of trying. And I explained last week, like the simplest way I ever thought about it was just supply and demand. It's like if you're charging a certain rate, if you're getting booked up 2 months in advance solidly, then raise the rate. And often you see a little dip, maybe get a few less bookings, but then it comes back up. And then you just keep doing that. But make sure you're raising your rates a significant amount every time. I probably made the mistake of like I'd raise it by $50 a song or even $100 a song. Like you gotta raise it a lot. And especially if you're low, like if you're $100 a song, when you raise it, you should double it. And if you're at 200, you should probably just double it again, and then maybe go up by $100 or $200 a song every time. And just don't be afraid. The worst thing that can happen is someone can just say no. And like I told that story with the roll off, they might say no, and you might say, okay, sorry, that's my rate. And then they might say, okay, fine, and they'll pay you. So, if you know that you're worth something, sometimes the best thing you do is just stand your ground.